Hello everyone. In today's lesson, we'll have a look at a fairly simple rule that's worth knowing if you're just starting out with Slovene. It's the c, ch, ž, sh, y rule. Horrible name, I know. We'll do our best to demystify it as soon as possible. Before moving on to the rule itself, let's make the letters that it has to do with easier to remember. So, there are 5 letters we have to remember, and we'll divide them to 2 normal-looking letters, from the viewpoint of an English speaker, and 3 weird ones. Really, you just have to remember C and J. And you'll probably have no trouble remembering that all weird-looking Slovene letters are affected by it as well. Ch, sh, ž are all of the letters that the Slovene alphabet has and the English doesn't. So it's not like you have to think about which weird ones are affected and which aren't. So usually in textbooks, you'll see the letters listed in the order of c, ch, ž, sh, y, but we'll always refer to them as CJ plus ch, sh, ž. Starting now, you'll always find them in the top right corner of this lesson just to make it easier to follow along. Okay, so what's the rule all about? Well, the rule has to do with adjectives, and it has to do with nouns, and it goes like this. If an adjective or noun ends in CJ or ch, sh, ž, then O changes to E. We'll have a look at what we mean by O changing to E and when that's the case shortly. But before that, let's briefly review gender in Slovene. Slovene nouns are divided into 3 classes. They can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. You can just as easily say class 1, 2, and 3 if the words masculine, feminine, and neuter are weird. That is, if you're having trouble accepting the fact that any random inanimate object is either masculine, feminine, or neuter in Slovene. Yes, words referring to men are grammatically masculine in Slovene, and those referring to women feminine. And the same goes for the obvious sexes of animals. But that's about as much sense as it makes. For all other nouns, you just learn to recognize whether a noun is masculine, feminine, or neuter. How do you do that? Well, leaving exceptions aside, masculine nouns end in a consonant, feminine nouns in the letter A, and neuter nouns in the letters O or E. Now, when using an adjective to describe a noun, that adjective can also take 3 different forms, depending on the gender of the noun it describes. Let's take 3 nouns to show what we mean. Fant or boy is masculine, punca or girl is feminine, and tree or drevo is neuter. The adjective beautiful to describe masculine nouns is lep. When preceding feminine nouns, it's lepa, and when describing neuter nouns, it's lepo. So as you can see, the adjective matches the noun it describes. With masculine nouns, it's a matching consonant plus consonant. With feminine nouns, it's AA, and with neuter nouns, it's OO. A beautiful boy is therefore lep fant, a beautiful girl lepa punca, and a beautiful tree lepo drevo. Here keep in mind that we said neuter nouns either end in O or E, so in the case of lepo drevo it makes perfect sense. However, if we choose a neuter noun ending in E like stanovanje, which means apartment, then it's still lepo stanovanje. So the neuter form of the adjective generally ends in O. Don't make the mistake of saying lepe stanovanje just because stanovanje ends in E. However, I said it generally ends in O, which means there are exceptions. And that's where our rule fits into the picture. With adjectives, we use the example of beautiful or lep, lepa, lepo. The regular endings are thus a 0 ending, A and O. The rule talks about O changing to E, so obviously the rule here will apply to neuter adjectives. Like we explained, the rule says that if the adjective ends in CJ or ch, sh, ž, the neuter ending changes from O to E. Let's have a look at some colors in Slovene to show what we mean. Depending on the gender of the noun, black is črn, črna, črno. White, bel, bela, belo. Blue, moder, modra, modro, the red E signifying a disappearing schwa. As you can see, there is no E in the feminine and neuter. Yellow is rumen, rumena, rumeno. And finally, we come to the example where our rule applies. So it's rdeč, ending in a ch, rdeča. And because rdeč ends in a ch, the final O will change to an E, so it's rdeče. Let's have a look at some other adjectives where this holds true as well. Fresh is svež, sveža, sveže. Hot is vroč, vroča, vroče. Foreign is tuj, tuja, tuje. Next is naslednji, naslednja, naslednje. And previous, prejšnji, prejšnja, prejšnje. In the last 2 examples, ignore the final I. It's the J that counts. and let's add an example for each. Fresh milk is sveže mleko. A hot climate is vroče podnebje. A foreign embassy, tuje veleposlaništvo. Next year, naslednje leto. And last summer, prejšnje poletje. More commonly used than these adjectives, and so more important, are however possessive pronouns. The Slovene possessive pronouns are moj, tvoj, njegov, njen, najin, vajin, njun, naš, vaš, njihov. They're colored blue because these forms, which are considered the basic forms, are masculine. So, let's find the ones that'll be affected by our rule. Moj, tvoj, naš, vaš. Let's add the feminine and neuter variations of the possessive pronouns as well. As you can see, as expected, it's moj, moja, moje, and not mojo, tvoj, tvoja, tvoje, and not tvojo, and the same holds true for naš and vaš. So, with possessive pronouns, pay attention to these four. My is moj, moja, moje. Your is tvoj, tvoja, tvoje. Our is naš, naša, naše. Your plural is vaš, vaša, vaše. And some examples. My beer is moje pivo. Your bike is tvoje kolo. Our apartment is naše stanovanje. Your company is vaše podjetje. Okay, that's it for adjectives, but remember we said nouns are also affected by the rule. In masculine case endings, O changes to E. Cases are different forms of the same noun expressed by different endings. Whenever a masculine noun gets an O in the case ending and that noun ends in CJ or ch, the O changes to E. Since as a beginner you'll cover the singular case endings before the dual and plural ones, it's worth mentioning that in the singular, this applies to the instrumental or sixth case. The masculine instrumental singular case ending is which means you put an additional om to the nominative or basic form of a masculine noun to make it instrumental. However, when the noun ends in cj or ch, it's im instead of Let's take a closer look. Masculine singular, masculine dual, masculine plural. Sto means chair. And again, singular, dual, and plural. Prijatelj means friend. Note it ends in a y. Let's point out all case endings that include an O. As we've said, in the singular, this only holds true for the instrumental. And now let's highlight the same things in prijatelj. As expected, all O's turned to E's. And finally, let's have a closer look at the instrumental singular. We always use the instrumental when saying with someone. The word with itself is either the letter S or Z in Slovene, depending on the first sound of the word that follows. Let's list two examples for each letter, the first one being a male name and the second a masculine noun. Nates is a male given name in Slovene. With Nates is Znejcem. Matej is also a given name, just like the English Matthew. With Matej is z Matejem. Kovač means blacksmith or smith, and just like in English, it's a common surname. S Kovačem. Uroš, z Urošem. Blaž, z Blažem. Stric means uncle. With the uncle is stricem. Prijatelj is a friend. With a friend is s prijateljem. Plašč is a coat. S plaščem. Starš is a parent. With the parent is staršem. And mož means husband. With the husband is z možem. So, to briefly review, the rule has to do with the letters CJ and ch, sh, zh. If an adjective or noun ends in one of those letters, then the final O in the ending of neuter nouns or in the ending of masculine nouns in a particular case changes to E. In my opinion, you don't need to remember all of this at all. It's just about passively having it stored somewhere in the back of your mind. Then, when you do encounter something weird, you can just go check if it's due to this rule, for example. Well, that's it for this lesson. Good luck, study hard, and aim for the stars.